Alright, so I have realized that I ultimately do not do this YouTube stuff very good, so I figured I'd at least attempt to give you guys an update for anybody that's new, maybe give you a rundown on what we're doing here. This is Mo. He's my 1989 Mitsubishi Mighty Max that, for some reason or another, I decided to drag race. I don't know. Backstory, I'm a hopeless Mitsubishi addict. I have been for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Mo has a 6-bolt turbo 4G63 out of a first-gen DSM with a adapter to a GM TH400 stock rear end that's welded up. He's got an 850 certed chromoly cage. Last year, we ended with a PB of, I think it was 10-1 at 139. It lifted the head about 1,000 foot, spit water out of it, torched the head gasket. I have the gasket. That happens. But yeah, that's the gasket out of it. We were having some boost control problems that night, and I didn't realize that our old intercooler, not this unit, had a split basically all the way up the backside of the end tank, so wasn't making the boost I wanted. The last pass of the night came around, I put 85% duty on the foreport, and it made 55, 60 pounds. Decent, but it had a ton of back pressure because last year we had a T3 82AR GTX 3584 Garrett, and with the split and the compressor speed, it just made too much back pressure, lifted the head, torched it. I don't have the cylinder head anymore, or I'd show it, but it was pretty well murdered. Just had a set of basic ARP head studs in it. It was a ported 6-bolt head with stock valves, Kigley Street springs, and an old school set of FP2 cams. Same FRH intake without the spacer. It was on an ECU Master Classic ECU with ID 2000s and a set of Bosch 044 fuel pumps. This is a basic mock-up head that I've got on there so I could start building the turbo manifold. I've still got to add my wastegates, my EGT probes, build the downpipe, dump tubes, intercooler piping, all that stuff. But today, we are going to try to focus on getting this stuff off, modifying my water pump so I can put the electric Mazir water pump on it. We just got to weld up this hole, pull the guts out of it, pop a plate on the front of it, weld that up, put it back on. The water pump's going to sit over in this area. And then we're going to put our new cylinder head on. This is a stock port 6-bolt turbo head from like a standard first generation DSM with basically everything GSC can throw at it. It's got GSC's extreme duty exhaust valves, stainless intake valves. If we roll it over here, it has a set of billet GSC S3s along with their big boy race springs, titanium retainers, zero tick lifters, and bronze guides. Our local cylinder head shop put this together for me. They do all my stuff. They're the greatest. We've got our Mazir electric water pump, L19 ARP custom age head studs, another Kigley Racing HLA. Shout out Kigley Racing. You guys make great stuff. We've got their girdle in our motor. I've used countless amounts of their parts in 4G63 builds, and they're wonderful. We've got a new Mitsubishi timing belt and an HKS stopper head gasket. This is the best stainless head gasket, or I guess multi-layer steel head gasket that you can buy for a 4G63 in my opinion. Without going to a O-ring and a copper gasket. This winter we completely cut the front sheet metal out of the truck because if you look at my really old poor quality video when I bought it back from the tow yard, you'll see this fender was a different color, and that's because when I acquired it, this portion here was probably pushed back to here. The inner structure was all mangled. In these style Mitsubishi trucks, it's all, I guess, pinch welded to the cab, so I had to take it all the way back. I built the tube front end. I'm a fabricator by trade, so I've done literally every single thing on this truck, from building the motor to the transmission to the roll cage to doing the 4-link. But we put a new front end on it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. We deleted the brake booster so we could add our intake spacer here, get a little bit more runner length out of it. I built this intercooler. It's a 1,000 horsepower Garrett core, 5 inches thick. I think it's 12 or 13 inches tall. She's a unit. We're also going to rewire the truck this year. We've got a Morris Tech black box PDM, bunch of ECU Master stuff, and a ECU Master Black that's stuffed up under the dash on a beauty plate. Just a little quick inside shot. Cage, Kirky seat, TCI shifter, all very standard stuff. It's a stock case, 70s Turbo 400, still helical cut gears, nothing fancy like that. Has a, I can't remember what brand trans brake in it. I think it's Bill Miller. First gear leave, very standard stuff. Has a PTC LS swap converter. It's way too tight, but it works. It has a Bill's Autofab, I think is what his business was called. Adapter to go from the 6-bolt to a TH400. And I guess today we're going to focus on getting this cylinder head off, getting that one on. I'll update you when I get all of this back off so I can show you the deck surface and how we modify the water pump. All right, so we've got it all tore apart here. We've got our water pump off. Here you can see pistons in the deck surface, all very standard stuff. This motor has Manly Platinum 10-to-1 pistons, Manly Turbo Tough I-beam rods, stock Mitsubishi 6-bolt uncut crank, Kigley Racing main girdle, ARP main studs, and a homemade balance shaft delete. As I said earlier, I'm going to show you how I make a mechanical water pump delete plate. This applies to basically everything that doesn't have a timing belt driven water pump. So there's your factory pulley. Here's my water pump. This is a factory Dodge D50 water pump that I modified to suit the turbo 6-bolt timing stuff. Here you can see it's all ground away and it's very thin over here. Basically all I'm going to do is press this shaft out of this little fucking collar dealio, and then you press all the nasty guts, because I forgot that there was water in my stuff, out of this body. We weld up this hole and we build a little plate to go over that hole. And here we have the water pump with the pulley mounting surface off of the shaft. Now we're going to go put this unit in the press. We're going to press the internal bearing cartridge and that rusty ass fin out of there. Oh, drop my finger. Basically, you want to put this in there in a way that the fins can still clear. Use a little socket or something. And then we simply apply some pressure. And it should push that shaft right on out of there. With the bearing cartridge and everything. Should fall out any minute now. Bingo. Now, as you can see, we have a bare water pump housing. We're going to clean this up. We're going to cut this snout back to about here because we don't need that length hanging off there. Build a plate to cover up this, weld that on, and then you have your outlet here that goes to your electric pump, then down to your radiator, and that's a DIY mechanical pump delete. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm all done. So here we have the mechanical water pump delete plate out of the OEM housing all done. You can see all I did was cut the end back of it, snout I guess you could say, plate it, weld it shut, weld up the 2 weep holes, and then there's an outlet hole in the back of the D50 water pump that I welded shut because I no longer need that. That's for the factory heater. This is now ready to go back into its home on the motor. I just got to go get a gasket. I'm also going to pick up some cam seals while I'm out. I also got my thermostat housing water relocation dealio all done with. This tube runs into the back of the head where the factory thermostat would be on a 1G DSM. We don't have a thermostat because we're using the electric water pump to regulate temperature along with the fans. We've got our GM temperature sensor in here along with the factory D50 Mighty Max temperature sensor here for the factory gauge cluster. A 16 AN here, and that tube ends up sitting right above the starter here in this area. I'll show you more of that once I get the head on and wrapped up. I'm going to go through and run a tap through all of my head bolt holes, clean up the deck surface a little bit, throw some copper spray on our HKS gasket here, and then get this head on and all torqued down. All right, we're back, and the cylinder head is back on. Got the OEM timing belt back on. Belt tension is all set. Everything's good. If any of you guys ever are curious about how to time the 4G63, just let me know, and I'll make an in-depth video of how to do that. Super simple process. You don't have to be scared of it. It's easy. But we've got our Kegley racing regulator installed, cam sensors installed. Everything's all nice and lubed up. Head's torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. We've got our little homemade mechanical water pump delete plate dealio made out of the stock body on there. We just have to mount our water pump over here. We've got our coolant relocation stuff. So you can see here, there will be a 16 AN that runs up through here into the radiator, right under the intake manifold. Just got to throw the valve cover on it now, really, and then the top end's buttoned up. Tomorrow, I'm going to work on finishing the turbo manifold. I've got to add my 244mm wastegates and then set our new turbo in place. I don't think I talked much about this. This is a Gen 2 Precision 6785 Sportsman turbo. We still have to build the downpipe and the dump tube for all that stuff, so we'll get to that when we get to that. We also have to start wiring everything, so that's going to be a massively fun project. We got our trans brake and bump button on our steering wheel there, along with everything in the keypad, the engine, the coils, the injectors, fuel pumps, yada yada yada. But slowly but surely we're getting there. Now we have an engine. It's majorly complete. It spins nicely. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. All right, so today we are back in the shop. Last night we decided to do a little bit more than we anticipated, and we've got our wastegates in place. These are Summit branded 44mm. They're pretty affordable. I think they're 150 bucks a gate maybe. They work really well. I've used them quite a few times and they've never given me an issue. We've got our 90 welded onto our compressor housing here. It turned out pretty good. So now we have the ability to easily build our intercooler pipe. We've got an adequate amount of space between the gate there, nothing touches. We also have our intake runners set in place, so we can start figuring out where to mount our IGN 1.8 coils. These are over here. I'm thinking probably somewhere under the intake manifold. That has yet to be 100% decided, but we have to figure out our cooling line situation down to our little water return pipe to this radiator hose. Set the plenum on there. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to use this plenum. It's really old. It doesn't necessarily work poorly, but I'm not a huge fan of how square it is. The throttle body inlet is very small. It's right here. Really old. It works. That's like standard 1G DSM throttle body sizing. Not ideal for what we're trying to do here. It's very square. I don't know how I feel about it. But we've started porting our runners. These things are huge. I'm pretty happy with it. I still have to go through and polish everything. And then I am going to Alumabrite the runners and the compressor housing. Might just do the plenum just so it's clean if I do decide to use it. I'm not sure yet. So today we're going to focus on getting the manifold all welded up, get our back pressure sensor in it, look at EGT probe locations, figure out where our coils are going, and possibly mount our water pump. We'll see how it goes. So we've got our flanges all welded on here. Came out pretty decent. Not too shabby. Now that's going to cool off. We've been working on our water pump. We've got a little stub hanging out here. I'll show you what that's for in a second. The manifold, we just have to drill and tap right around there for an 1/8 inch MPT for our back pressure sensor, and then our manifold's done. We can get a gasket, throw that back on the motor. That stuff will be all tidied up and done. Then we can move on to our dump tubes and our 4-inch side exit that we're doing. While that cools down, we're going to work more on our water pump situation. This is a 1.25 inch stub that I've got welded to a 16 ORB fitting that I cut off because I want to use soft hoses. This is going to sit kind of down in there-ish. You can see it'll have a little hose that connects that to the lower, and then it'll have a similar thing on this side that comes out and goes up to our connection there. Once we have our water pump mounted and our manifold set back on with the turbo and everything in location, we will start to look at the hose for our coolant return from our head. And then it's on to intercooler piping, wiring, put the fuel system back together, and this thing should run. I'm hoping in the next month or so we'll have it on the dyno, get all the tuning stuff figured out, and then be able to make a track day here soon. My ultimate goal with the truck is to go somewhere in the mid to low 8s. As I said earlier, it's got an 850 cage. It's all certified. It's going to need a new rear end because this has a stock Mighty Max rear end. Various places of the internet claim that these trucks are factory a 1-ton, quote unquote, and that these rear ends are pretty stout. I know another guy down in Texas has been low 140 60 foots with them. I've personally only been mid 150s, and so far it's all right, but with how big our new turbo is and how aggressive we're going to have to be on the 2-step and the nitrous situation to get that thing to light, I have a feeling that it's going to shock the rear end pretty hard and probably just rip the pinion off of it. If it doesn't, and we can go anything sub 150 really, I think the truck will go, I don't know, low 9s on medium power, probably 20-30 pounds. But I guess for now, that's probably where we're going to leave you. Hopefully next weekend we'll be able to take another video and update you some more on what's happening. But as of now, we're out of time. Back to work this week.